7 trades in a row, 7 losses. Your strategy says you have a 65% win rate. The math says this shouldn't be happening, but it is happening. And that voice in your head is getting louder. Maybe the strategy is broken. Maybe the market changed. Maybe you're just not good at this. So you start changing things. You tighten your stops. You add filters. You skip trades that look risky. And the 8th trade, the one you would have taken with your original rules, runs exactly as your strategy predicted, without you. Losing streaks don't just cost you money. They cost you confidence in your process. And when you lose confidence in your process, you start making changes that destroy the very edge you're trying to protect. Today we're talking about overcoming losing streaks. And not with motivational platitudes about staying positive, with actual frameworks for understanding what's happening, determining whether your process is broken or you're just experiencing normal variance and making it through to the other side without destroying your strategy. Before we start, quick note. I created a resource for exactly this situation. It's the Professional Trader's Emergency Protocol. Has a section specifically on what to do during losing streaks when your brain is screaming at you to change everything. Link is in the description. Totally free. Print it out, keep it at your desk. And if you're getting value from this series, subscribe. We're building the complete mental operating system for professional trading. New breakdowns every week. Let's dive in. That's the first thing you need to understand about losing streaks is that they're mathematically inevitable, not probable, inevitable. If you trade a strategy with a 65% win rate for long enough, you will experience streaks of 7, 8, even 10 losses in a row. The math guarantees it. Here's why. Every trade is an independent event. The outcome of trade 7 doesn't influence the outcome of trade 8. You can flip a coin and get tails 5 times in a row. That doesn't mean the coin is broken. It doesn't mean tails is more likely on flip 6. It means you're seeing normal variance in a 50-50 probability distribution. Trading is the same, except your probability distribution might be 65% wins and 35% losses. But that distribution includes streaks. A 65% win rate doesn't mean you alternate between wins and losses in a predictable pattern. It means that over a large sample, 65% of your trades will be winners. Within that large sample, there will be clusters of wins and clusters of losses. Professional traders understand this intuitively. When they hit a losing streak, their first assumption is that they're experiencing normal variance, not that their strategy broke. They don't panic. They don't start changing things. They ask, is this streak within the expected range for my strategy, or is this actually unusual? To answer that question, you need to know what normal variance looks like for your specific strategy. And most traders have no idea. They've never calculated it. So when they hit 5 losses in a row, they think it's catastrophic because they've never seen it before. But if they had run the numbers, they'd know that 5 losses in a row happens about once every 30 trades for a 65% win rate strategy. Let me show you how to calculate this so you're prepared. The formula for the probability of a losing streak is the probability of a loss raised to the power of the streak length. If your strategy has a 35% loss rate, the probability of 2 losses in a row is 0.35 times 0.35, which is 0.1225, or about 12%. The probability of 5 losses in a row is 0.35 to the 5th power, which is 0.00525, or about 0.5%. Now, 0.5% sounds rare, but if you take 200 trades per year, you're going to see that 0.5% event about once per year. It's not unusual, it's expected. The problem is, your brain doesn't think in probabilities, it thinks in patterns. 5 losses in a row feels like a pattern that means something is wrong, but statistically, it's just variance. Professional traders run these calculations before they start trading a strategy. They know in advance. My strategy will produce a losing streak of X length approximately once every Y trades. When it happens, they're not surprised. They're just checking the box on expected variance. Now, let me break down the 3 types of losing streaks because they require different responses. Type 1 is variance streaks. This is what I just described. Your strategy is working exactly as designed. The edge is intact. You're following your rules. You're just experiencing the natural clustering of losses that probability distributions produce. The correct response to variance streaks is to do nothing. Keep following your process. The edge will reassert itself over time. Type 2 is execution streaks. Your strategy is fine, but you're not executing it correctly. You're entering too early. You're moving your stops. You're exiting before your targets. These execution errors are creating losses that wouldn't have happened if you followed your plan. The correct response to execution streaks is to identify which rule you're breaking and build a system to prevent that specific error. You don't change the strategy, you fix your execution. Type 3 is edge erosion streaks. This is the only type that requires changing your strategy. The market conditions that gave your strategy an edge have shifted. What used to work doesn't work anymore. The edge is genuinely gone. The correct response to edge erosion streaks is to stop trading the strategy and either wait for conditions to return or develop a new approach. The critical skill is correctly identifying which type you're experiencing. Most traders assume type 3 when they're actually experiencing type 1. They think their edge is gone when they're just hitting normal variance. This is how traders destroy working strategies. They change things that didn't need to be changed because they can't distinguish variance from actual problems. So, how do you tell the difference? You use 3 diagnostic questions. Question 1. Am I following my rules exactly as written? If the answer is yes, it's probably not an execution streak. If the answer is no, you've found your problem. You don't have a strategy problem. You have a discipline problem. Go back to the video on discipline and build the systems to fix your execution. Question 2. Is my sample size large enough to draw conclusions? If you've taken 10 trades and lost 7, that tells you nothing. 10 trades is noise. You need at least 30 trades, ideally 50 to 100, before you can say anything meaningful about whether your edge is working. If your sample size is small, assume variance and keep trading. Question 3. Have market conditions change in a way that would invalidate my edge? This requires you to understand what gives your strategy an edge in the first place. If your trading breakouts and volatility has collapsed, your edge might be gone. If you're trading mean reversion and the market is trending strongly, your edge might be gone. But you need to identify the specific condition change, not just feel like things are different. If you can point to a concrete change in market structure or behavior that would break your strategy, then you might be experiencing edge erosion. If you can't point to anything specific, it's probably just variance. Let me give you the 5-step framework for getting through losing streaks without destroying your strategy. Step 1 is acknowledge the emotional reality. Losing streaks hurt. They create doubt. They make you question everything. That's normal. You don't need to pretend you're fine. You don't need to stay positive. You just need to acknowledge this feels bad. And feeling bad doesn't mean the strategy is broken. Next, professional traders allow themselves to feel the emotional weight of losing streaks. They don't suppress it. They don't deny it. They just don't let it drive their decisions. The feeling is valid. The action that feeling wants you to take is usually wrong. Step 2 is review your execution, not your strategy. Pull up your last 10 trades. For each one, ask, did I follow my entry rules? Did I place my stop where my plan said? Did I manage the trade correctly? Did I exit based on my criteria? If the answer is yes to all of these, your execution is fine. The losses are variance. If the answer is no to any of these, you found the problem. Fix that specific execution error. Most traders skip this step. They go straight to changing their strategy. But if you're not executing the strategy correctly, changing the strategy is pointless. You'll just execute the new strategy incorrectly too. Fix execution first. If execution is clean and you're still losing, then you look at the strategy. Step 3 is check your sample size. How many trades have you taken with this strategy? If it's under 30, you don't have enough data. Losing streaks feel significant at small sample sizes, but they're just noise. The solution is to keep trading until you have a meaningful sample. This is hard psychologically. Your brain wants to stop trading when you're losing. It feels like you're throwing money away. But if your strategy has an edge and you're executing correctly, Continuing to trade is the rational decision. You're allowing your edge to play out over time. Professional traders force themselves to complete their sample sizes. They commit to 100 trades minimum before evaluating whether a strategy works. This prevents them from abandoning strategies prematurely based on short-term variance. Step 4 is reduce position size, if necessary. If the losing streak is creating emotional interference, if you're hesitating on entries or moving stops out of fear, your position size is too large for your current psychological state. There's no shame in reducing size temporarily to preserve your ability to execute. The key word is temporarily. You're not changing your strategy. You're not abandoning your process. You're just reducing the emotional stakes so you can continue following your plan. Once the streak breaks and you rebuild confidence, you can return to normal size. Professional traders would rather trade at half size and execute correctly than trade at full size and execute poorly. The edge is in the execution. If reducing size allows you to execute, that's the right move. Step 5 is set a review threshold. Decide in advance. If I hit X consecutive losses or Y total losses over Z trades, I will pause and do a comprehensive review. This threshold should be based on the probability calculations I showed you earlier. It should be a number that would genuinely indicate something unusual is happening, not just normal variance. For a 65% win rate strategy, 10 consecutive losses would be very unusual. That's about a 1 in 1,000 event. If you hit that, you should pause and review. But 5 consecutive losses is about a 1 in 200 event. If you trade 200 times per year, you'll see it once. That's not a review threshold, that's expected variance. Setting this threshold in advance prevents you from reviewing prematurely. You know what number would actually be concerning. Until you hit that number, you keep trading. Now let me address the psychological traps that make losing streaks harder than they need to be. Trap 1 is the broken strategy narrative. Your brain loves stories. When losses cluster together, your brain creates a story. The strategy is broken. The market changed. This doesn't work anymore. The story feels true because it explains the pain you're experiencing. But stories aren't data. The story is your brain's attempt to make sense of randomness. Don't confuse narrative with reality. Professional traders resist story making during losing streaks. They stick to facts. How many trades? How many losses? What's the win rate over the last 50 trades? What's the average risk to reward? Facts, not stories. If the facts say the strategy is working and you're just experiencing variance, you ignore the story your brain is telling. Trap 2 is the sunk cost spiral. You've already lost $2,000 in this losing streak. Your brain says, if I stop now, that $2,000 is wasted. I need to keep trading to make it back. So you keep trading, but now you're trading from desperation. You're forcing trades. You're sizing up to recover faster. And you turn a $2,000 losing streak into a $5,000 disaster. Professional traders understand sunk costs are irrelevant. The $2,000 you lost is gone. It's history. Your only job is to make the best decision going forward. Sometimes the best decision is to pause, review, and come back when you're mentally reset. Continuing to trade just to recover losses is revenge trading, not strategic trading. Trap 3 is the comparison trap. You see other traders posting wins while you're in a losing streak. Your brain says, they're making money. Why aren't you? Maybe your strategy is inferior. Maybe you're not as good as they are. This comparison creates doubt that makes you abandon a working strategy. Professional traders don't compare their current results to other traders' highlight reels. They compare their current performance to their own historical baseline. Am I executing as well as I did last quarter? Is my win rate over 50 trades consistent with my back-tested expectation? Those are the only comparisons that matter. Trap 4 is the change addiction. When you're losing, doing something feels better than doing nothing. So you start changing things. You add an indicator. You adjust your entry timing. You modify your exit rules. Each change makes you feel like you're taking action, like you're fixing the problem. But most of these changes make things worse. Professional traders resist the urge to change things during losing streaks. They know that changes made from emotional states usually degrade the strategy. If changes need to be made, they make them during review periods when they're calm and analytical, not during active losing streaks when they're desperate. Now, let me give you the mental framework that makes losing streaks survivable. It's called process trust, and it's built on 3 pillars. Pillar 1 is historical evidence. You have data showing this strategy worked in the past. You have back tests. You have live trading results from previous months. This evidence exists. Losing streaks don't erase it. When doubt creeps in, you go back to the historical evidence. The strategy produced X win rate over Y trades before. Unless something fundamental changed, it will produce that win rate again over time. Pillar 2 is probabilistic thinking. You understand that losing streaks are built into the probability distribution. You've calculated how often they occur. You know this is normal. When your brain says the strategy is broken, you counter with the math. This is a 1 in 200 event. I take 200 trades per year. It's supposed to happen. The math is working exactly as expected. Pillar 3 is execution focus. Your job is not to win every trade. Your job is to execute your process correctly on every trade. If you're executing correctly, you're succeeding, even when the trades lose. This reframe makes losing streaks less psychologically damaging. You're not failing. You're just experiencing the loss side of your probability distribution while executing well. These 3 pillars create a stable foundation during losing streaks. When everything feels chaotic, you return to these pillars: historical evidence, probabilistic thinking, execution focus. These are facts. The emotional chaos is just noise. Let me give you one final insight about losing streaks that most traders miss. Losing streaks are where professional traders are built, not because losing builds character, because losing reveals where your systems are weak. During winning streaks, you can get away with sloppy execution. During losing streaks, every error compounds. If you have a discipline problem, losing streaks expose it. If you have a position sizing problem, losing streaks make it visible. If you have an emotional regulation problem, losing streaks bring it to the surface. Professional traders use losing streaks as diagnostic tools. They ask, what broke during this streak? What systems failed? What emotional triggers got activated? Then they build solutions to those specific problems. The next losing streak, those problems are solved. Over time, losing streaks become less damaging because you've systematically eliminated the failure points. Amateur traders waste losing streaks. They just suffer through them, then feel relief when they end. They don't learn anything. They don't build anything. They just survive and hope it doesn't happen again. Professional traders harvest losing streaks for insights. They emerge from streaks with stronger systems, better emotional regulation, and clearer understanding of their edge. The streak cost money, but it paid for itself in lessons learned. So, to wrap this up, losing streaks are mathematically inevitable. A 65% win rate strategy will produce multi-loss streaks regularly. Professional traders calculate expected variance in advance, so they're not surprised when it happens. The 3 types of streaks are variance streaks, execution streaks, and edge erosion streaks. Most traders think they're in type 3 when they're actually in type 1. The 3 diagnostic questions help you identify which type you're experiencing. If the 5-step framework is acknowledge the emotional reality, review execution, not strategy, check your sample size, reduce position size if necessary, and set a review threshold in advance. The 4 psychological traps are broken strategy narrative, sunk cost spiral, comparison trap, and change addiction. The mental framework for surviving streaks is process trust built on historical evidence, probabilistic thinking, and execution focus. And losing streaks are where professional traders are built because streaks expose system weaknesses that you can then fix. If this helped you, subscribe. Next week we're covering a different topic, pulling from questions you've asked in the comments. The series continues. And grab that emergency protocol from the description. The section on losing streaks tells you exactly what to do when your brain is screaming to change everything. Use it. It works. Most traders quit right before their edge would have reasserted itself. They abandon working strategies because they can't handle normal variance. Don't be most traders. Understand variance, trust your process, get through the streak. The traders who do this are the ones still here in 5 years.